It started with a coffee. Or maybe it started years before that. But for everyone watching from the outside, it began at 7:42 a.m. on a rainy Thursday, inside a quiet little cafe just off Oak Ridge and Fifth. Malik was the kind of guy who didn't like to be noticed. Black hoodie, earbuds in, laptop open, he was there to work, not talk. The local cafe, Bean and Leaf, had the best Wi-Fi in town and even better espresso. It was the kind of place that played jazz you didn't recognize but somehow always liked. That morning, it was Coltrane. Smooth, warm, unbothered. And then she walked in. High heels clicking against the hardwood floor. Oversized sunglasses. Platinum blonde bob that hadn't moved since 2015. And the purse, God, the purse, looked like it had its own mortgage. She was the kind of woman who didn't just enter a room. She arrived. Karen. No, that wasn't her real name. It was probably something like Cheryl or Amanda. But you knew a Karen when you saw one. And the moment she walked in, so did everyone else. She paused just inside the entrance, her nose wrinkling as if someone had let a dog loose inside. Her gaze scanned the room until it locked on Malik. That was it. 1 second. He didn't look up, didn't flinch, just kept typing. But Karen made a beeline for the counter, leaned over, and whispered something to the barista, who, to her credit, looked immediately uncomfortable. There was a long pause, and then Karen said something louder. I'm just saying, some people don't really belong in places like this. Silence. Malik looked up. He knew that line. He'd heard it before. Different voices, different zip codes, but the same tone. Same message. He slid one earbud out. Is there a problem? Karen turned to him like she'd just been offered a seat in the cheap section. Excuse me? You're talking like I'm not here, Malik said calmly. Just wondering if you wanted to say it directly. A few people looked up from their laptops. The barista, young, nervous, froze. Karen crossed her arms. I just find it odd, she said. You've been sitting here for how long? No drink, no receipt, just loitering. Malik blinked. I have a cappuccino, he said, holding it up. She squinted at it. That could be from anywhere. The barista stepped in. He bought it here, ma'am. He's a regular. Karen didn't like that. You could see it in her jaw, the way it clenched like a vice. She turned back to Malik, her voice dropping a notch. I'm calling the police. That's when it changed. Not the words, people like Karen threw those around like confetti, but the way she said it. There was a chill in her voice, something quiet and cruel. She wasn't scared. She wasn't unsure. She wanted this, and Malik knew it. The cafe fell silent again. The kind of silence that builds in your throat like a storm. You're calling the police, Malik repeated, because I'm working on my laptop? Karen smiled like she just played her trump card. I'm calling because you make people uncomfortable. No one else in the cafe looked uncomfortable. But she dialed anyway. Malik stayed seated, calm, collected. But something in his gut twisted. It wasn't fear, not exactly. More like a bitter déjà vu. The kind you taste before you even understand why. Then the door opened again. 2 cops stepped in, fast. No lights, no sirens. Just a quiet entrance, like they were coming to check a meter. Karen turned to greet them, all sugary concern. Officers, thank you for coming. I didn't feel safe. You understand. The taller officer turned toward Malik. His hand hovered near his belt. Sir, can we speak with you outside? Malik didn't move. Am I under arrest? Not yet, the officer said flatly. Karen smirked. And then, just like that, the tension snapped. A young woman from the back stood up, iPhone in hand. I'm filming, she said. He didn't do anything. Yeah, another voice said. She called because he's black. Karen spun around. Excuse me, that is not what this is about. But no one was buying it anymore. Malik stood, slow and measured. He wasn't angry. Not yet. But he was watching her now, closely. The way you watch something dangerous that pretends not to be. I'm going outside, he said to the officers. But I want your badge numbers. Both of you. They hesitated. Gave them. And then he stepped out. The range is starting to fall. The officers followed. Karen lingered inside, sipping the cappuccino she didn't buy. acting like a hero in her own movie. But outside, something else was happening. Something Karen wouldn't understand until it was far too late. Because Malik wasn't just any guy with a laptop. And this wasn't just another misunderstanding. This was the beginning. Outside the cafe, the rain picked up like the sky had decided it was tired of pretending to be calm. Malik stood just under the edge of the awning, letting the mist kiss his hoodie while the two officers flanked him like shadows. He didn't flinch, didn't run, didn't reach for his phone. He just stood there, still quiet, patient. "Can we see some ID?" the shorter cop asked. Malik nodded slowly, pulled out his wallet with 2 fingers, and handed it over. The taller cop took it and glanced at the name. "Malik James Cole," he read aloud. "That you?" "That's me," Malik said. The shorter one walked a few paces away to run the name. The taller officer stayed close, hands still near his belt. "What brings you to this neighborhood, Mr. Cole?" "I live 5 blocks from here," Malik replied. "Same apartment for 3 years. You want my lease, too?" The cop didn't answer. Inside the cafe, Karen was still at the window, watching like a hawk. She was smiling. That smug, sweet, self-satisfied smile of someone who thought they just cleaned up the streets. She had no idea. Malik looked over his shoulder at her, just once, and then turned back to the officer. "Let me guess, she said I looked suspicious." "She said you were making threats," the taller cop said carefully. Malik raised an eyebrow. Did anyone inside back that up? The cop hesitated. That was all Malik needed to know. "I've been profiled before," he said, his voice low but steady. "I've been followed in stores, stopped on sidewalks, questioned for jogging. But this was new. She didn't want to avoid me. She wanted to start something." The shorter cop came back. "Nothing on him. Clean record. He's got a local address." The taller one looked annoyed now. Embarrassed, even. "Am I free to go?" Malik asked. "You're not being detained," the shorter one muttered. Malik took his ID back, nodded once, and turned to walk away. He didn't look back at Karen. Not yet. But she followed him. Literally followed him. She came out of the cafe like she had a leash on the truth. "I just don't understand why you're making such a big deal out of this," she said, walking beside him. "If you just acted normal." He stopped. Right there, in the rain. Turned to face her, close enough that she had to take a step back. "Normal?" he asked. "You think this is about normal?" Karen faltered, caught off guard by the calm rage in his eyes. "I mean, people like me, we just want to feel safe. And people like me," Malik said, "just want to live without being treated like a threat." For a split second, she didn't speak. And then, like clockwork, she reached for her final weapon. "You know what? I'm recording this." She pulled out her phone and held it up like a badge of innocence. "In case you decide to get aggressive." Malik didn't blink. "Go ahead," he said. "Post it. Let the world see how you follow black men out of coffee shops for using Wi-Fi." Then he turned and walked. And for once, Karen didn't follow. Later that night, Malik sat in his apartment, laptop open again, but this time he wasn't working on client code. He was writing something else. Something with more bite. He opened a folder labeled K-List. He clicked New Entry. Name: unknown blonde woman, 40s, Bean and Leaf Cafe. Date: Thursday, 7:42 a.m. Summary: false police report. Accusations: harassment. Followed subject outside. He didn't have a picture. Not yet. But he would. Because Malik wasn't just a software developer. Not anymore. Something had shifted. Something deep. See, Karen thought this was over. She thought the cops showing up was the peak of her power. But what she didn't know, what she couldn't know, is that Malik had been tracking people like her for years. Quietly, carefully, patiently. This wasn't the first entry. And it wouldn't be the last. He closed the laptop. Outside, the rain finally stopped. But the storm? The storm was just getting started. 2 days passed. Karen went on with her life like nothing had happened. After all, why wouldn't she? In her mind, she'd done a good deed, stopped a suspicious man from loitering where he didn't belong. It didn't matter that the cops didn't arrest him. It didn't matter that other customers defended him. To Karen, she'd won. She always won. But then strange things started to happen. It began subtly. The next time she visited Bean and Leaf, the barista didn't greet her with the usual good morning. In fact, the staff barely looked her in the eye. Her drink came out wrong twice, and someone had scratched a word into the wooden table by the window where she always sat. "We remember." She rolled her eyes. "Teenagers," she muttered. But then it escalated. On Tuesday morning, she tried to use her card at the grocery store. Declined. Again and again. She called the bank, furious. The rep apologized profusely, said there'd been unusual activity, a transfer attempt, followed by a lockout for suspicious login patterns from multiple devices. Karen panicked. "I've been hacked." "Possibly," the rep said. "You should update all your passwords and enable two-factor authentication immediately." She did, fumbling through every app on her phone, resetting everything. But still, something felt off. Like someone was behind her eyes, watching. And that's because someone was. Malik wasn't just collecting names. He was gathering everything. Not to dox. Not to humiliate. Not yet. No, he had a code. Purpose. He called it digital reflection, a mirror held up to the people who weaponized their privilege, who called the cops when they felt bored, who made up stories and expected the world to believe them. He wasn't hacking. Not exactly. He wasn't breaking into her accounts or draining her bank. That would have been easy and sloppy. Instead, he was doing something far worse. He was learning who she really was. And what he found cracked everything open. Karen, real name Denise Karen Halverston, wasn't just a self-righteous suburbanite. She ran an online parenting blog, wrote think pieces on community values and protecting children from strangers. She had 42,000 Instagram followers and a brand partnership with a tea company. She called herself an advocate for public safety. But in 2019, she'd falsely reported a Latino teenager for stealing her phone, until it was found in her own purse an hour later. No charges, no apology. In 2021, she posted a rant about a loud black family at a resort pool and tagged the hotel chain, demanding they be better vetted. Malik's folder grew. Screenshots, archived posts, police records, even an old HOA meeting clip where she tried to block the development of an affordable housing complex because it would attract the wrong crowd. And she thought she was safe because she'd never technically broken the law. But Malik didn't need her to break the law. He just needed the truth. That Thursday, a private message popped up in Karen's blog inbox. No sender. No return address. Just a message with a subject line. "Do you remember me?" She clicked it. Inside was a photo, grainy, from a security camera, but clear enough. Her face, her phone, her finger pointing toward Malik at the cafe. Below that, another message. "You made a choice. So did I. Let's see what the internet thinks about it." Karen screamed, closed her laptop, grabbed her phone. No number, no name, no contact. But the message had already been read. And now her blog dashboard showed unusual traffic. Hundreds of visits, then thousands. Her most recent post, teaching kids to spot trouble, was being spammed with comments. "You are the trouble. This you in the cafe? Your mask is slipping, Karen. You're about to go viral, sweetheart." She panicked. She deleted the post. It didn't matter. Screenshots were already circulating. Her inbox flooded. Her followers dropped by the minute. Brand partners started emailing her about misalignment with core values. And somewhere across town, Malik watched the metrics roll in. This wasn't revenge. Not really. This was consequence. A mirror. A truth teller. He sat back in his chair, reading a comment from someone he didn't know. "Whoever exposed her, thank you." But it wasn't over. Not yet. Because Karen wasn't done spiraling. And Malik wasn't the only one watching anymore. Karen's living room felt like a war zone. Curtains drawn, lights off, phone on silent. Her laptop screen glowed like a bomb ticking down. She hadn't slept in over 30 hours. By now, every social media platform she used was flooded. Her Instagram, ripped to shreds in the comments. Her parenting blog, offline after a flood of emails from angry readers. The tea company had sent an official message. We've terminated the partnership effective immediately. We do not support discriminatory behavior. She was trending. Not the way she used to dream of, featured in local parenting articles, sharing recipes and safety tips. This was different. She was internet infamous now. And the worst part? She had no idea how deep it really went. See, while she scrambled to do damage control, deleting old posts, locking down her profiles, Malik was already 5 steps ahead. He wasn't doing it out of spite. He wasn't harassing her, threatening her, or sending hate. He didn't need to. The Bean and Leaf incident had been picked up by a mid-sized YouTube channel that covered everyday racism in America. They'd compiled witness statements, overlaid the security cam footage, and narrated Karen's entire meltdown. In less than a day, the video passed 400,000 views. People started recognizing her in public. A teenager at the grocery store whispered, "That's the Karen from TikTok." A cashier refused to serve her. Even her neighbors looked at her differently now, like they weren't quite sure if she'd ever been the person she pretended to be. Karen tried to post a statement. It was short, polished, fake. "I am deeply sorry if anyone was hurt by my actions. I only acted out of concern for my community. I am not a racist. I have friends of all backgrounds." The internet tore it to pieces. He just let the truth breathe, and truth spreads.